Okay, good evening, everyone. And
Hi.
I want to thank you for joining me again for another I'm Loving Me series. And I can tell you guys, this one is going to be something that's going to be eye opener tonight. I have spoke with this woman beforehand, and we had almost an hour conversation about the topic that we're going to talk about tonight. And I know it's something that everybody can relate to when it comes to violence and domestic violence and abuse. And um, I just can't wait to dig into this because this is so important because you just never think that it will actually happen to you. So tonight, I just want to welcome my friend, Melody Gross. Melody, thank you so much for being here. And
Oh, thank you.
thank you for participating in the I'm Loving Me project. And I know this conversation is going to get deep. It's going to be exciting. And I just want to go ahead and just jump right in. And with our question of what did you see when you look in the mirror? But before we actually do that, just tell, people just a little bit about yourself and basically what you do.
Sure. Again, I'm Melody. I was born in New York, in Harlem. We went to school together, right? So, I am the oldest of six children. I'm the only one between my parents. I have a 10-year-old son who's awesome, affectionately known as KGB. And I currently live in Charlotte, and I've been here for about 7 years now. I think actually this month made 7 years. And I am a marketing communications manager.
Oh, wow. So you already know that this conversation is actually going to get really, really, really deep. So tell me, what did you see when you looked in the mirror?
That was a good question. So when I looked in the mirror, what did I see when I looked in the mirror? I saw someone who realized that the person that they love, that they shouldn't fear the person that they love. And that's really kind of what kind of like made me realize I needed to make some changes in my life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so tell the story. I know it was an experience that you had with domestic violence with the person that you were with.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just actually share that story so that people
Yeah.
can
Yeah. So I moved here and again in 2011. And initially I was staying with family, but oftentimes with that how that happens where you can't really stay with family too long, you
know? Right.
know. So I had been renting rooms and living with friends for a while. And then finally in 2013, I got my own place. But a couple of months before that, I met a gentleman randomly, I believe, on a bus, and he seemed like a really great guy. He was really, affectionate, kind of quote unquote woke or whatever, right?
Right.
And we had similar views on our blackness, on religion, things like that. So, we kind of kicked it off or whatever. Simple things, little dates here and there. I moved into my place, I would say the end of July or so of that year, and he wound up having some situation with where he was living, and so I invited him to stay with me. Things were going well, and I'm like, I care about him. That's cool. He would pick me up from work, take me to work, things like that or whatever. Pick my son up, take me to pick my son up and stuff. So I'm like, oh, this is a really, nice guy, whatever.
Right.
And so, but I would notice that like when we would get into disagreements, like they were really elevated. They were like really like it's kind of like 0 to 100. But I'm like, okay, well, I'm not necessarily at the time, I wasn't necessarily the best communicator when it came to relationships, within
Right.
relationships. So I was, like, okay, well, we can learn from each other. So, I like literally would like pick up books for us to read, YouTube videos or whatever. Cause I'm like, all right, if we're going to be in this, Black love,
You trying to make it work because
try to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But, after a while, I started, the arguing came more into like name calling, and then eventually got physical. it started off more with just like pushing, grabbing, holding, you know, but it escalated into like choking, pillows over the face, hand over my mouth, slam to the ground, you know, and so like, it just, it's weird because looking back is like, when I look back, I can see the progression of it happening.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you can see it happening. But when you're in the mix of it, you're like, maybe I'm tripping. You know what I mean? Like,
and it's like, you know, like when we talked before, it's like you kind of see it when you young, where you might see a couple of moving and shoving and everything.
Yeah.
You'll see someone's boyfriend, and you know the boyfriend will like hold them or maybe like grab them, and you just like, oh, he's trying to get her to stop. Where really, that's really like the progression thing that you're talking about. Like,
absolutely. So, but even still, I was like, you know, I'm gonna try to make this work. You know what I mean? And in the back of my mind, I guess subconsciously, I was thinking about all of the other like failed relationships I had.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, you know, this is no shot to my family or whatever, but it was looked like, oh, Melody can't keep a man. You know what I mean? Or, you know what I'm saying? And so subconsciously, I'm like, no, I'm gonna prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Even though it's like chaotic and toxic, and I'm being called a bitch and a whore and a cunt and all of these things, you know, and it's yelling and fussing and officers are coming, but I'm like, nah, you know, I'm gonna try to make this work. You know what I'm saying? And so, and it's interesting because oftentimes when you think of someone who is being abused, you look at someone who kind of like cowers in the corner, you know, they're meek, things like that, you know, and I'm not really that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm loud, I'm boisterous, you know, I've always been like that. And so kind of like moving forward a little bit, sometimes when I would talk to people after the fact, it's that association, like it's that disbelief because of my personality. You know what I'm saying? But never mind that I was dressing differently. You know what I mean? I was in entertainment PR, stopped doing that because what do you need to be around all those rappers for? You know what I mean? Are you, you know, did you used to fuck with him? And, you know, shit like that. And it's like, and I'm like,
that's the thing too. I want to know, was it like the manipulation to move you away from your friends? You know how they say like,
absolutely,
try to move you away from your friends and try to say that your family is so that they can kind of like control you. So is it really like that? Definitely.
And it's, you know, learning afterwards, like that's kind of that is how abusers work. You know what I mean? So I had family here, but I really didn't have family here. They were kind of like living their own lives. You know what I mean? And so, and I lived on a total opposite town of them, opposite side of town for them. So it was easy to kind of like put me into this, it's just us, you know, kind of thing. And you think family, like, oh, okay, we building this family. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're not realizing that, I'm not realizing that, you know, him taking me to work was to make sure that I was going where I said I was going. Him picking me up was to make sure, you know what I mean? Because here's the funny thing, is like at one point he had, and thinking about this, like sometimes you think about stuff that happened and you get so mad. Right. You know what I mean? Because you like, oh my God, I should have, you know? And so I remember like at one point he had 2 cars. Now I have my license. I didn't have a car. Right. He had 2 cars and he did not let me drive his car. What? So he did not let me drive his car. So never mind that I had to get up really early in the morning to take my son to school. Did not let me drive his car. There was nothing wrong with the cars. Right. Did not. You know what I mean? So it's still that sense of control. You know what I mean? And so, you know, there's different forms of abuse. You know, there's mental, there's emotional, there's physical, and there's financial abuse.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was kind of, it's interesting because in 2015, we got into a real bad argument. I honestly don't even know what the fight was about. I don't even recall, but all I remember is we were arguing, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to keep arguing with him. My son's in a room. I'm just going to leave, catch my breath, separate us, whatever. Right. And as I walked to the door, he grabbed me so hard and threw me that I landed on my ankle and sprained it. I've never, mind you, I was a, quote unquote tomboy. I was into rough stuff as a kid. I never broke anything. I never sprained anything.
Right.
But he pushed me and threw me so hard, I sprained my ankle. And then he ran because the neighbors called the cops.
Wow.
And so instantly my ankle just like swelled. I heard it crack. I heard it, And, but I said that was 2015.
Right.
I didn't leave till March 2016, So it's that whole idea of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, forgive me. And, I didn't do it on purpose, all of that stuff or whatever. And I fed into it,
Right. And we had another lady, Issei, who said the exact same thing. But I always say, like, when the sorry comes and all of that is happening, like, what is going through your mind? Are you still thinking like, well, this is just what happens in relationships and you have to actually deal with it and see if you could come through it? Or is there something else or is it like what you said, you are determined to make this relationship work because of what other people were saying?
Right. Well, it's no one thing. Let me say that. I don't think it's just one thing that makes you, accept the sorry. It is not just one thing for any one person. You know what I mean? For me, it was me feeling like I had a role in making him angry to the point where, he got that, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So you're like, because words that are described, when you describe Melody, you describe Melody as aggressive. That's what people do.
Gotcha.
Aggressive. You know what I mean? Loud, whatever. And so the mindset is, well, if I'm so aggressive, obviously I'm getting him so upset and it's my fault.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? And that's a lot of times what you think. And I know that's what I thought sometimes, never mind that there were times where I just really wouldn't say anything and it didn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, in March, I'll tell you the exact date, March 12th, 2016, he and I we had been arguing. I had actually stayed with my family for a little bit. And we had been arguing. Because he just wasn't paying his part of the bills. You know what I mean? And I'm like, listen, I got a kid. I'm working part-time. You got to pay. You live here. You got to pay. You know what I mean? Right. And his thing was, you need to talk to me. You know what I'm saying? You need to talk to me. We need to talk. And I'm like, nah, you need to pay bills, then we can talk. Right? Because you can't live anywhere for free.
Right.
And so he felt the need to not pay. And at that point, I was just like, I can be broke by my damn self. Like I'm broke with you, my dude. Yeah. Like I'm broke with you already. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking like that, like nowhere near flourishing the way I need to. I could be broke by myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so unfortunately, whatever, money was a factor that made me go, man, fuck this. Like I'm out. Right. You know what I mean? And I remember I was taking my son to acting class and I left. Like we got into an argument, whatever the case may be. And I was like, man, you need to leave. Like you can't stay here no more. You don't want to pay no bills. You got to leave, whatever. This shit is over and done with.
Right.
And stuff. So you need to figure out what you're going to do. I leave. He calls the cops on me. And he's telling me, I called the cops on you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, yeah, I called the cops on you, whatever, because you threw a sneaker at me. I'm like, what? Are you serious right now? I'm like, listen, bro, if I did throw a sneaker at you, you've done way worse.
Right.
I have the pictures and everything to prove it. Like, way worse.
Right.
And so he was like, you going to jail. You going to jail. I'm like, man, whatever. So I'm not paying it no mind. I think I went and stayed at my sister's house or something like that. And my stepmom called me. She's like, yeah, no, he really did call the cops. Like, you got a warrant. I'm like, what? I'm like, listen, I'm from 140th and Lytics, and I've never, ever had a criminal record. You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm livid at this point. I'm like, listen, if I got to turn myself in for, like, throwing a sneaker, let's really get it popping. Because at this point, I didn't care anymore.
Right.
All bets was off. I done got some kind of whatever, then came and said, look, you better do what you got to do. And so it was, but in the back of my mind, I'm remembering that this is the same man that threatened to kill me. You know what I mean? This is the same man that when we driving in the car, he said, I'll kill you and me in this car. You know what I mean? But at that point, I just didn't care. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't care. Like, it was either going to be me or him. And I knew that I was going to come out the victor because I have somebody to live for.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I have someone to live for. So I didn't, like, at that point, I did not care. I'm like, my friends know who he goes with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Life and what, like, everything was, I didn't care. Because I'm like, you've done enough damage, Mm-hmm. And, but, it was not easy to leave. It wasn't just like okay, we're over and you're going to get out the house. No. We had to go to court. He climbed through my window. He was stalking me, showing up at my job, showing up at my kids' school, showing up at my sister's house, all of my sisters, my stepmom, my friend's job. You know what I mean? Like, telling my colleagues I got arrested and that I was abusive and all this other crap, because now you have to make me look bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I remember being in the car talking to my cousin, and, I'm like, I'm ready to lose it. Like, I'm ready to forget that I am a professional, right? Forget all of that and call my big cousins. Like, at that point, I was really like, because you're trying to take me away from my son. You know what I'm saying? You're really trying to take me away from my son. And I didn't know the scope of, like, the charges because it just was like, I learned that it was a simple assault. So technically in North Carolina, if there's no police involved to a certain extent or a certain level, you have to go to mediation. So I had to go to mediation with someone who was abusing me as if this was my husband for one.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the process is crazy. You know what I mean? I tried to get a restraining order after he climbed in my window, middle of the night. I called the cops. They didn't see anything. Whatever. They came to the door like, oh, all right, what now? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bruh, like, he climbed through my window. That's what. And I remember, like, the judge is like, she let him talk for about 15, 20 minutes. And he talked about, my religion, a spiritual practice. He talked about what I do on the weekends or, like, craziness.
Right.
And I tried to get a word in, and she's like, hush.
And
I'm like, word. And so, like, I'm sitting there livid. And I'm like, he climbed in my window in the middle of the night.
Right.
He's stalking me. Mm-hmm. He's showing up at my job. He's showing up at my son's school. He's showing up at my family's house. And she said, you're just mad that he's breaking up with you.
Hell no.
And I wanted to say, bitch, please.
Right. That was my words in my head. I swear.
I was like, and so at that point, I just sat there, and she said, I'm not going to give you the restraining order, but sir, you're going to have to move your stuff out of her apartment or whatever. Because it's my apartment, right? Never mind that, so I'm dealing with the court system in terms of just, like, trying to get him out, right? then I got my management office, like, they're not helping me because technically he wasn't supposed to live there. So there's a flaw in that system too. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I had to get a lawyer because now I have a criminal case. And, you know, and so, and he still was harassing. He was still showing up when I was picking my son and I get off the bus. He's there. And then finally, I'm not going to lie to you, I called his mom and I said, you should tell your son to stop showing up, because if not, I'm going to show up at your house. And I'm not coming there to be nice because this is ridiculous. It's over and done with. It's over. You know, he was texting me. I have pages and pages of text messages. You know how many text messages are supposed to be short? You know how many text messages you have to have stacks of text messages? You know what I mean? Yeah. Text messages, emails, you know, all types of craziness. And so I just was like, this is it. You know, this was definitely it.
And you think about the justice system, because all that stuff you were going through,
yeah,
you have no protection. This man can actually do whatever it is that he wants, show up, stalk you, do all of this, and then there's nothing to go to protect you and your son.
Yeah.
Which is,
and let's be clear, like, you know, restraining orders don't really protect you from anything anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's proof. It's proof when you go, you know, it's proof. And I even said to the judge, have you seen his record? Like, he has I've been in here. I was just in here last year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Didn't even matter and stuff. So, you know, it was a process. And then I had to go to criminal court. And I remember, because to me, through mediation, they suggested that, you know, we just both get, you know, a no contact order for both of us. Mm-hmm. But you're talking about an abuser. You're talking about someone who wants to control you. So of course,
right,
he's not trying to let that go. So he wouldn't. He wanted me to admit that I hit him with a sneaker. And I was like, I didn't hit you with a sneaker. So I don't know what you're talking about.
And with all the craziness going around, like we talked about before, for the person that's outside looking at you saying, wow, you are a strong person. I don't even know how this can happen, because, you know, like I told you, my sister, she was in an abusive relationship as well. And the same thing, the stalking, the slamming, all of that stuff. And I shared with you that he went to her job where she was working. She was a manager at McDonald's in Virginia. And he jumped over the counter. He threw lightning fluid on her, and he was going to set her on fire. She went to the police. She did the restraining order thing. She did all of that, and it still didn't help. And do you know this man had the nerve, maybe like a year or two, to add me on Facebook? I'm sitting up there like,
wow, that's bold.
But as a young kid growing up, you thinking like, okay, why are you not leaving? This is something that is happening to you. We see the black guys. We see everything that's going on. We see everything. And now, you know, you kind of understand. It's like what you said. The manipulation is in slowly trying to tell you your family don't care about you. And we starting something. We're doing something. But at the end of the day, you still out there. You know, when shit goes down, really you don't have no protection, because at the end of the day, you had to make a decision, right?
Yeah.
And that decision you made, you had to come to a conclusion, like either it's going to be me or him.
Yeah.
I have to go to your mom and be like, yo, this is about to get real serious.
Because the thing is, though, I was more likely to be killed after leaving than I am.
Oh, my God.
Way more likely to be killed. The first 6 months, you're just 3 times more likely to be killed after you leave than if you stay. So oftentimes, we stay. We stay. Because when he told me he was going to crash this car and kill us both, that was months before I left. Months. Probably almost a year before I left. You know what I mean? And so, and look, I grew up with a family who domestic violence was a regular thing. Intimate partner violence was a regular thing. You know, and I remember seeing family members with black eyes and broken noses and busted lips and all of that stuff. And I damn sure thought it wasn't going to be. And I damn sure remember, you know, thinking like, why don't they just leave? You know, but it's so, there's so much to it. It's the fact that it's the mental abuse and the mental hole that they have. It's the fact that society looks at victims and survivors of domestic violence like it's their fault. We put so much blame, but we constantly uplift the abusers. We do it all the time. I see it all the time. I have gotten into arguments with friends because of it. You know what I mean? And so it's hard for us to even speak out. It's hard. It is exceptionally hard. I have family members who kind of gloss over it like it does not happen. You know, like it never happened. I remember sitting down with some family and the person who abused them was there and they weren't together anymore. And I remember they made a joke out of an incident that happened. And I was so taken aback by that because it made me realize they don't recognize the damage that really did to them. Yeah. They didn't recognize, they haven't done that real deep healing from that. You know what I mean? Because I'm still dealing with the ramifications of it. You know what I mean? With myself, with my son, you know what I mean? With, you know, friends. Like, it was hard because I didn't feel like I had a lot of friends here and all my friends were in New York. And so I do feel like if I was in New York, one, it probably would not have happened. Or if it did, I had a stronger support. Right. And that is the biggest deal. You know what I mean? Is that we need that support. You know what I mean? We don't need your judgment. We don't need your criticism. We don't even need your goddamn sympathy. You know what I'm saying? We do not need that. And I know, like, people come to me and they ask me, how can they support someone who's experiencing that? And I always tell them, if you are not ready to go the 10 miles that it may take, if you're not ready to have somebody in your house for a year, if you're not ready to have, you know what I'm saying, someone asking you, like, I just need a little bit of guidance, I need a little help, I need a little financial help. If you are not ready for that, don't bother. Right. Just provide them with resources that you can. Because if not, you're just going to give them another reason to run back.
Girl.
You know? You know, and so I don't fault my family and my friends. I don't fault them at all for, like, trying to help, but then not trying. I don't fault that. The system isn't really set up for that support. I get it. You know what I mean? We're not as aware of how do you support someone who's experiencing that. You know what I mean? Right. Beyond just like, oh, here's a number, you know, and there's a shelter, and those shelters are overcrowded. You know what I mean? Those shelters are overcrowded, and really they're not, you know, it's
and then you just feel bad too, because you're like, I got family and I have to go into a shelter or this or that, because it's like what you said. My family is going to give me like 2 weeks, and then after that, they tell me, well, you know, what's going on in your life? What you gonna do? Right. What are the next steps? Because, and the reason why that happens is because we really don't understand. Because in the back of our mind, we're saying you should have never got yourself into that, which is another form of abuse, I think, now, because you basically blaming me for the situation that I'm in. That I'm trying to get out of. Yeah. If I'm getting it over here and this person is over here beating my ass, well, I could go back here and probably deal with the punches and everything. But right here, I just can't take the fact that every time I come back here, it's still the same thing. I can't really come to you for help. You know what I'm saying? And I get that now. And you know, it's so crazy. Like we discussed, I know that's how my sister felt, because we weren't very supportive, you know, because we just couldn't understand what that was. It was such a big separation, you know, and she would say things like, you know, well, I don't have any support here, and, you know, you guys really don't like me or want me here. And it's like, no, we don't like your situation, you know, and it was just like a big misunderstanding. But even though he was hitting on her and doing all these things, she still felt Like,
Right.
you know, like at least he accepted her. You know, and had love,
Right.
and she just dealt.
And it's not a reality. Like it's a false sense of security.
It is. It is.
It's definitely a false sense of security.
It is.
Because even like for the few years we were together, like I felt like I had lost the apartment in New York, and I was like really, it was my first apartment. I was really crushing for me.
Right.
And so, and then I had been living with family and friends for so long that I finally have my own place. I'm like, I have to do what I need to do to keep this place. Mm-hmm. And I felt like he was a part of that. You know what I mean? Gotcha. Like, cause I'm thinking, but then of course, again, that's why I say I left because of financial reasons. Right. But it's like, that is because, again, associating that like, well, he's not helping me financially anyway, so whatever.
Right.
Fuck it.
Right.
But that's why I've after this experience, and then I will say that I'm not just a domestic violence survivor from that experience directly. I'm a domestic violence survivor from like a child. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From like a child. Because I survived seeing, family experience that, and so this is something that I'm passionate about now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it drives my work. It drives my social impact, you know what I mean? And what I do in the community, and how am I going to help other, I'm specifically focused on Black women, but how am I helping other women and other survivors, understand that it's not their fault, understand that we can build support systems around them. When I eventually told my story, the support flowed. Right. You know what I mean? It became more abundant and stuff. And so that's really important for me, to kind of like share that my story to hopefully help someone else,
Right. And talk a little bit about that. So I know you're doing a whole bunch of stuff now to, help other women who have been abused. So talk a little bit about that so, people could know exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've done some talks around Charlotte and some interviews about it. I've spoken to some like college students as well about it, and like really pointing out that there's some of their friends that were supposed to come to this meeting that we're at right now, whose boyfriend said, you can't go, you know what I mean? And recognizing these signs. I think that's the biggest thing, is like, I didn't recognize the signs until it was too late. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I think that's something so that's like driving my work. Like, how do we recognize the signs of an abuser?
Right.
And giving women the courage to feel empowered, and the courage to know, like, it's okay if that person is not for you. Let that person not be for you. You know what I mean? There's someone else definitely out there that is, or just take the time and it's not, you know what I mean? So there is a program at the University of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. They have the Ortner Center, which focuses on violence and abuse in relationships. Okay. And so I've been admitted into their executive program. It's like a leadership program for social impact strategy. Like, how do you develop strategies and techniques in order to elevate your social cause?
Right.
And so I'm actually fundraising for that, plug. Okay. Because the tuition is not cheap, and there are no scholarships. And so I've been fundraising for that, because though the knowledge that I receive from that will help drive what the workshops I want to do, the impact that I want to have in my community, and really everywhere. Like, I don't want to just focus solely on where I am.
Right. And you have a GoFundMe page and everything?
I do.
You want to donate and stuff?
I do. Yep, I do. So the easiest way to find my GoFundMe is to go to my Linktree, which is link.tree/IamMelodyCo. So IamMelodyCo. And I guess we'll put it maybe in the notes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. we'll make sure we get all the information out. But I wanted to just talk a little bit about, you know, how is it now for you? Because
Yeah.
you have these women who are in it, and then they want to know, okay, so what life is like now, you know,
Yeah.
as far as dating and
Oh, yeah.
looking around. Are you more cautious? Are you
Yeah.
relaxed? Like what do
Yeah.
you
Yeah. It took a lot of work. So
do?
we broke up I ended it in 2016, and I pretty much took that year to really just like get it together mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. You know, it took a lot of healing, and I used the model of live fearless
Yeah.
because I was in such fear
Mm.
during that time, not just fear of him, but just fear of losing it all, fear of judgment, fear of criticism. And I don't live like that anymore, you know, but it was not easy. And it's still not. Like, I still have moments where I am, you know, triggered, for lack of a better term, and
Right.
stuff. Like, something makes me like, you know, and but I feel like I just came into my own and who I really am. So I just am who I am, and you got to accept it or not.
Right.
And I understand and that doesn't mean I'm perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I understand my identity, who I am, and what that looks like, and how I show up in
Right.
places and spaces. And so that's really important for me. I've surrounded myself with people who support that, and we support each other. That is vital for me, you know? And so 2016 was really a lot of growing and figuring out what's my healing process.
Right.
You know, and that was important for me. Like, it's not just one thing. It wasn't just therapy. It wasn't just journaling. It wasn't just exercise. It was like all of those things helped me overcome, you know, recognizing my triggers, recognizing when someone said something that made me, you know, step back, recognizing that there are moments that I am going to see something and it's going to bring me back to those moments and to those times and to those words, you know, that were used against me, you know? And so, as for dating, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad. So 2016, I kind of chilled a little bit here and there, whatever. 2017, I went hard. I dated a lot. Like, I dated. Like, I was just like, hey, see how this goes. Throw it up in the air. You know what I mean? And so, and I did, honestly, you know, I met someone who knew my story and respected my story and was very supportive. And, you know, even though we didn't work out or whatever, we're still like really good friends. But I also, you know, really had to reevaluate what I want in a person.
Right.
You know, and so that's so important for me. Like, you know, people say you shouldn't have expectations in a relationship. And I'm like, yeah, that's bullshit.
Right.
That's definitely bullshit, because I expect you to respect me. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I expect you to support me as I'm going to support you. So I don't subscribe to this idea that, you know, we aren't supposed to have expectations. No, we definitely do, because I didn't expect anything from him, so I got what I got, right?
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But had I had expectations and standards, I probably would have picked up on things a little bit more.
Right.
You know, I took time to really determine and search, how do you communicate in relationships and what makes a relationship successful? Right. You know, so dating, you know, I'm not dating too much now because I'm so focused on my career, my kiddo, my passion, you know, and really getting, letting women know that, you know, there's just so much more, you know, once you get over that hump. Like, I get it. It's hard. You know, you want that love. I'm a loving person. I love love. I love relationships. They're fun. I want someone that I can do all the things with, you know, but that someone, you know, has to actually be a good person. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I have to be able to recognize those signs. And I'll tell a person, like, you know, even with my ex, I tell him, like, look, that's a trigger. I'm gonna need you to not do that. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that.
Right.
I recognize that. Don't do that again. Thank you.
Wow.
You know, so but you know, there's definitely love after abuse, and that's hard. I'm single. I want to get married eventually. I want to have more kids, but I know other survivors who are happily married. You know what I mean? With their partners, and they're having these amazing relationships. So it does give me hope. You know what I mean? It definitely gives me hope. I want to say for the men who watch it, like, don't shut down when a woman tells you she's been in an abusive relationship.
Oh, that's
I've run into that.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, we all come with baggage, sir.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you got your own stuff with your wife, ex-wife thing. You know, like, that happened. That legit happened. So, you know, but you have to be on your own journey of healing too. You know what I mean? And so I don't date men who haven't did the work for themselves. Like, I do your own work while I do mine too. You know?
Wow. Well, I definitely thank you for coming on and being here and sharing your story and really giving us some information. Now, let everybody know where they can find you, like on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to go ahead and put the link out there for your GoFundMe. We really want to go ahead and support her, guys, just so that she can go ahead and continue to do this work. And if anybody is in a situation where they're being abused and they really need some help, please go ahead and talk to someone. Take a look at this video and really, really listen to the advice. So let us know how we can actually find you on Instagram, Facebook, and everything.
Yeah. So all of it is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I don't use Twitter as much, but Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is I am Melody Co. IamMelodyCo. And the website is www.iammelody.co. So I'm everywhere.
All right, guys. And I thank you so much for joining us. I will put the links and information out there so that you can connect with her and you can actually donate to her cause, because she's really passionate about this, as you can see. And most definitely, I want you to watch the video to the end, follow her, take a look at everything that she's doing. And we definitely appreciate you guys being here with us tonight and taking a look at our videos. We want to thank you for being a part of our group, for a part of the I'm Loving Me project. And I can't wait to share another video with you guys. Melody, thank you so much again for being here. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you support. Okay, thank you. See ya. Bye.